Hi, I'm Bill Jewett. I'm with Project Healing Waters and Carolina Fly Fishing Club, and today I've been asked to do a couple fly demos for you. The first one we're going to tie today is called the Mickey Fin. It's a streamer fly. A little history on this. It was developed in 1901. Joseph Bates, the author of Streamer Fly Tying and Fishing, describes the red and yellow streamer as both an attractor and an imitator. Basically, it's designed to imitate a bait fish. Today, what I'll be tying on will be a 2-aught TMC salmon hook, shallow water salmon hook. Thread today will be Nano Silk by Semper Fly, 140 denier in white. The rib will be Danville number 10 oval tinsel, and the body will be Danville number 10 Mylar tinsel. The wing is yellow bucktail and red bucktail. So today what we're going to tie, as I said, it's called the Mickey Fin, and I'm doing this all in my Norvice system. And again, we're using a shallow water salmon hook, size 1-aught. And I'm going to start initially by starting my thread at the head of the fly. And actually what I'm going to do is, holding this back like this, we're going to keep this tag end on top of the fly. And what this is doing is this is going to allow for a smooth body. And it doesn't have to be completely covered, because you're going to cover the hook with Mylar here in a second. So, but basically what we just did was just ensure that the body of the hook will have a flat body, completely flat, once we're done. We don't want a bulky fly on this fly. Everything should be kept flat and uniform. So coming back up to here, about 2 eye lengths back, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in the rib material. That one. And to do this, we're going to start it on this side and bring it up to the top, and we're going to run it all the way back, making sure it's secure. Now the rib material will not be used until the very end, before we put the wing on. So I'm going to leave this over here on my material clip. So let's take this back up to the front. Back up to where we tied that in. And then the next thing I'm going to tie in is going to be my Mylar body. And for this I'm using a pearl essence. So what we will do now is we're going to start this on top so it comes around the other side. I'm going to put a half hitch in here so it does not unwind my thread. Now, using the Mylar, this needs to stay flat with touching turns, not overlapping. And you're going to take this all the way down to the back and all the way back up to ensure that the body is covered. And it takes a second to do this, but you want to make sure that it's as close to being non-overlapping as possible. I'm going to go all the way back to where the rib ended being tied in, and then we're going to go all the way back to the front one more time. The unique history behind this fly is Mickey Flynn was not the inventor of the fly, but it was named after a gentleman by the name of Mickey Flynn who was actually murdered. Fly fishing murder mystery. So we've gotten this back up to the top, and we want to make sure that you hold tension on this at all times so it doesn't come back unwound. 2 wraps around the back and 2 in the front. Trim off the body material. And we'll go ahead and just make sure that this is secured. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run the rib up, and for this I'm going to use the rotary function on my Norvice. And you want 6 to 7 even ramps, spaced evenly. Now that we have that up there, we'll run our thread back down here, and this ribbing material is very slippery, so you've got to make sure you keep tension on it the whole time you're tying it down and locking it in, or it will slip out and it will unwind, and then you get to start all over again. And yes, as somebody who does this professionally, I have to occasionally start over. So the first part of the wing we're going to put in, and actually the first thing I'm going to do, a lot of people don't do this, I do. I like to add just a couple pieces of flash into the body, and this will accompany the bottom wing, and basically all I'm doing is evening this up. And we've got 2 pieces of crystal flash here. Basically similar material to what we used for the body. But this is just going to give it just a little more bling and hopefully be able to attract more fish. So that'll work. We'll use that after. So the first thing we're going to do is we're using yellow bucktail and red bucktail. And we're just wanting a small clump of it. This is not a bulky fly in any means. So taking my bucktail here, and I don't want a bucktail that's evenly tipped on the back. I want it to be a little messy. And we're going to go from 1, that's just a little too long. We're going to go 1.5 lengths, so about this long right here. So holding this in a pinch wrap, we're going to take and do 1 loose wrap over the top of it, and then a couple tight ones. And as you can see, this just spun around my hook, which is what you're trying to avoid doing. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this down a little more. I'm going to hold this, no, we're going to start it over. And this is the fun part of doing flies. Back this off. Take this piece and put it back on here. 1 loose one, 2 loose ones. Tighten it down. And now you're going to cut this off at an angle. So, little bit of information to teach you. On a bucktail, this section here is going to be more hollow fur. Up here is going to be a more solid fur. If you want a floating fly, you would use the bottom part. I want one that's going to sink just below the top of the water, so I'm using some off the top on both tails. So now let's move on to the red. Traditional Mickey Flynn is red and yellow. And you can do this in other colors. You can make it in, use a gray or a blue or something on top of it. And we're going to go the same exact length, but by using other colors you can imitate different types of bait fish. These originated in northern England, like so many of our other flies have. Well, now that we got this in here, we're going to cut this off at an angle like that. Let's go ahead and tighten this down. That way it doesn't turn. And then the last piece we're going to use is another clump of yellow on top of that. And we're going to do this like this. Another pinch wrap, couple easy turns, couple in front of it, cut that off. Let's go ahead and take this and form the head. Now you can leave this white or you can change it into a black head, and that's what I'm going to do. Let me grab something here. I have it. I guess it's going to be a white head today. That's fine. It'll reflect and it'll look just as nice and catch just as many fish. I've caught them perfectly on both. And I'm just trying right now to flatten out the thread to cover up all of the red and yellow that was showing through it. So there we have our head. I'm going to throw 1/2 inch in here real quick, just to keep it from unwinding. And then I'm going to use my 1/2 hitch tool. And we're going to do 4 or 5 wraps. Just lock this off. Trim the thread off. Now a little trick, if you have any loose pieces, you can always take a lighter real quick and just touch it and it'll singe any of the little tips hanging out, but we're good today. Now I'm going to use some old school head cement. Basically this. Using my bodkin. We're going to coat the threads. And once this is soaked in, you can take and use UV resin on there. And that's what we're going to do after this. I have black UV resin in my bag here.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, I had originally said that the traditional head is a black Sharpie, or black head, and I'm just using a black Sharpie, and I'm coloring the thread here. And the head cement had plenty of time to cure, and I'm just painting this black. That way everything is focused on the wing and the body. And as I said, when you're done here, you can always take UV resin and put it over the top of it. I usually just use head cement on this. And there we go. Now with head cement, remember one thing, a lot of times it'll turn the thread and the materials a white. So you're going to want to make sure that that's covered up. But this is your Mickey fin, and it's finished. If you can see the bottom, that'll catch a nice glare from the sun and reflect like the belly of a minnow or a fish. And then you have the yellow, red, and yellow. I'm Bill Jewett. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stop over to projecthealingwaters.org, and especially if you're a veteran, feel free to check them out. Send in your information and they'll hook you up with one of the local chapters around the country. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
First off, let's gather our materials. You'll need a 2/0 shallow salmon hook. That's the foundation of our fly. For the thread, I'm using Semperfli Nano Silk, 140 denier in white. This thread is strong and lays down really nicely. Next, we have our ribbing Danville #10 oval tinsel in silver. This will give our fly that extra bit of flash underwater. And for the body, we're sticking with Danville #10 Mylar tinsel. This stuff is great for creating a sleek, shiny body on the fly. Now, onto the wing. We're going for a layered look here. Start with a layer of yellow bucktail. Then add a layer of red bucktail and top it off with another layer of yellow bucktail. This combination of colors is what gives the Mickey fin its distinctive appearance. All right, Magnet, and I promise you, it's going to bring you some great catches for me. Thanks for watching and happy fishing. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips and tutorials. See you next time.